Imagine for a second a bustling city. I'm talking, a New York or a Tokyo.
Right.
The lights are on, the subways are running, the factories are humming. Everything just works because there's this steady, massive flow of electricity keeping the grid alive. Now, imagine a brownout. The voltage starts to drop.
The lights start to dim, the trains slow down.
Exactly. And because the recycling plants don't have the power to run, trash starts piling up. The repair crews, they can't get their equipment working, so potholes don't get fixed. And, well, eventually the whole city it grinds to a halt.
That is a terrifying, but I have to say, incredibly accurate analogy for what happens inside your body when you run low on a molecule called NAD plus IBL.
Right. I feel like I see NAD plus plastered on every supplement bottle these days. It's become this huge buzzword for anti-aging. But I really wanted to know, is it just hype or is there real biology there? So today, we're doing a deep dive into the engine room of the cell. We are unpacking a massive 2025 review article by Yusri and colleagues titled The Role of NAD plus Metabolism and Its Modulation of Mitochondria in Aging and Disease.
And honestly, this paper is a breath of fresh air. It really moves past the superficial live forever marketing and gets right into the gritty mechanics. We're going to look at how NAD plus keeps your mitochondria, your cellular power plants running, why our levels just absolutely tank as we get older, and, the question everyone really asks, can we actually fix it?
I am so ready to unpack this.
Yeah.
So let's start at the very beginning. What exactly is this cellular currency? Is it a fuel? Is it a protein? What is it?
It's neither, not technically. NAD plus stands for nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. At its core, it's a coenzyme.
Yeah.
Maybe the best way to think of it is as a shuttle bus.
A shuttle bus. Okay, I can picture that. Who are the passengers?
Electrons, high-energy electrons.
Yeah.
See, NAD plus exists in two forms. There's the oxidized form, NAD plus A, which is the empty bus, waiting at the station. And then there's the reduced form, NADH, which is the bus full of these electron passengers. Its main job in the mitochondria is to pick them up from the food you eat and shuttle them over to the electron transport chain.
Which is where the energy magic happens.
Right. That chain uses those electrons to generate ATP. That's your actual energy. It's what beats your heart, what fires your neurons. Without that shuttle bus, without NAD+, the electrons go nowhere and the entire energy factory just shuts down.
So it's constant loop. Empty bus, fill it up, drop off the passengers, repeat.
Precisely. But here is where it gets really fascinating, and this is where the paper goes deep. For a long time, we really just thought of NAD+ as this passive fuel shuttle, just a utility worker. But we now know it's also a critical signaling molecule. It's not just keeping the lights on, it's actually telling the repair crews when to get to work.
And those repair crews, are those the mitochondria themselves?
Right. The mitochondria are the job site. But the foreman, calling the shots, those are a family of proteins called sirtuins, and specifically inside the mitochondria, we're talking about SIRT3.
Sirtuins, okay, I've heard of those. They're usually branded as the longevity genes, right? Like that's what keeps you alive if you're fasting or something.
That's the ones. But here's the catch, and it is a really big one. Sirtuins are NAD plus dependent. They literally consume NAD plus to function. Think of NAD plus as their paycheck.
Wow.
If there is no NAD plus tier, SIRT3 basically goes on strike. It doesn't matter how many longevity genes you have. If they aren't getting paid, they are not working.
I bet that's a whole new spin on it. So, okay, let's say I'm young, I'm healthy, my NAD plus levels are high, my SIRT3 foreman is getting paid. What is he actually doing?
He's acting as a ruthless quality control manager. When NAD plus is high, SIRT3 coordinates three vital processes. First, there's mitophagy.
Mitophagy, that
Yes.
sounds like it means eating mitochondria.
That's exactly it. It's cellular recycling. It identifies old, broken down, inefficient mitochondria and just clears them out so new, healthy ones can be built. It's literally taking out the trash.
Which is essential.
It's absolutely. Second, it manages something called the UPRMT, the mitochondrial unfolded protein response.
That is a mouthful.
It is. But think of it this way. Proteins are like origami. They have to be folded perfectly to work. If they start misfolding, they become toxic junk. SIRT3 helps fix them. It's like ironing out the wrinkles in the cellular laundry.
Okay, and the third job?
Antioxidant defense. You see, mitochondria are kind of messy engines. They create exhaust in the form of reactive oxygen species, or ROS. This is cellular rust.
Right.
RT3 activates the systems that scrub that rust away.
So high NAD plus means the factory is clean, the machinery is folded correctly, and all the rest is being scrubbed off.
Correct. But here is the vicious cycle. As we age, NAD plus levels naturally drop. And because there's less fuel, Sorrentino goes dormant, the trash piles up, the proteins get tangled, and the rust accumulates. That leads directly to mitochondrial dysfunction.
And that's the brownout.
That is the brownout.
Okay, so if this molecule is so important, why on earth does the body just let it drop? I mean, where does it even come from? If I'm running low, how does my body make more?
This is the supply side of the whole equation, and your body isn't helpless. It has three main assembly lines, or pathways, to make NAD plus fura. First, you've got the de novo pathway. This is making it from scratch, starting with an amino acid called tryptophan.
Tryptophan.
Yeah.
Like the stuff in turkey that makes you sleepy.
The very same. But using tryptophan to make NAD plus is incredibly inefficient. It's energetically expensive. The ratio is something like 60-1. You need 60 milligrams of tryptophan to make just 1 milligram of NAD plus fura.
That sounds like a terrible exchange rate.
It is. It's slow, and it mostly just happens in the liver and kidneys. It's really your backup generator. Then you have the price handler pathway, which uses nicotinic acid. This is the form of niacin that gives you that flushed, prickly skin feeling.
Ugh, I hate that feeling.
Most people do, but the real workhorse, the one your body actually prefers to use day to day, is the salvage pathway.
Recycling center.
Right. Remember how sirtuins consume NAD plus worms? Well, when they use it, they break it apart and leave behind this byproduct called nicotinamide, or NAM. The salvage pathway grabs that NAM and recycles it right back into fresh NAD plus MO. It's highly efficient. It's the circular economy of the cell.
Okay, so we make it from scratch at a high cost, or we recycle the leftovers. But the source material mentioned something that, I mean, it honestly blew my mind. The bacteria in our gut are involved in all this.
Oh, this is where it gets really interesting. This is a huge focus of that 2025 paper. Your gut microbiome is like a separate country with its own economy. It turns out some of your gut bacteria are basically thieves. They can't make their own NAD plus solen, so they steal your precursors, the nicotinamide you eat or make for themselves.
Wait, so my own microbiome could be embezzling my fuel?
Some of them are. But others are incredibly helpful. They perform a kind of biological alchemy. They can take nicotinamide, or NAM, and deamidate it. They basically strip off a chemical group and convert it into nicotinic acid.
Why does that matter?
Because it creates a bypass loop. It feeds that nicotinic acid into the price handler pathway, effectively giving you a whole other route to make NAD plus ChemS. So, depending on which bacteria you have, they could be boosting your levels or draining them.
That is just wild. So probiotics might essentially be an energy supplement.
Theoretically, yes. Managing the gut ecosystem could be a way to manage your energy levels. But there's a logistical problem here with getting this NAD plus where it needs to go. You can't just dump NAD plus into your blood and expect it to fill up your cells.
Why not? Is it too big?
Exactly. The molecule is bulky. It generally can't just walk through the cell door. It has to be made inside the cell, or it has to be brought in via very specific transporters. For example, we only recently discovered a transporter called SLC25A501.
Catchy name.
Scientists are terrible at naming things. But this transporter is the VIP entrance that gets NAD plus specifically into the mitochondria.
So it's not just one big pool of energy sloshing around, it's all compartmentalized.
Correct. You have a pool in the nucleus, a pool in the liquid cytosol, and a pool in the mitochondria. They all influence each other, but they are distinct. This is why just taking a supplement isn't as straightforward as it sounds. You have to get the precursor into the right compartment.
Okay, so we've got the supply lines, we have the engine room, but you mentioned that levels drop as we age. Is that just because the factories are slowing down? Or is something else going on?
That really is the million-dollar question, and the answer is a little depressing. It turns out it's not just a supply problem, it's a demand problem. We aren't just making less, we are wasting more. We call this the leak.
The leak. That sounds ominous. Where is it leaking to?
It's being devoured. There are enzymes in your body that become overactive as you get older, and they're what we call NAD plus sinks. The biggest culprit is a protein called CD38.
CD38. Is that another foreman like the sirtuins?
No, CD38 is more like a wasteful bureaucrat. It's an enzyme found on the surface of your immune cells, and it is a voracious eater of NAD plus evil. And here's the kicker. CD38 activity goes way up during inflammation.
And as we get older?
We get inflammaging, chronic low-grade inflammation. So your immune system gets slightly agitated, CD38 goes into overdrive, and it starts chewing up your NAD plus reserves just to fuel this low-level immune response.
So my own immune system is basically stealing the fuel from my mitochondria.
In a way, yes. It's a resource war, and it's not the only one. You also have PARPs.
PARPs.
ADP polymerases. These are the heroes of DNA repair. Imagine you get a sunburn or you're just exposed to daily pollution. Your DNA takes a hit. PARP1 wakes up, rushes to the scene, and burns through massive amounts of NAD+ to fix the break.
Well, hold on. I want my DNA fixed. That seems like a pretty good use of fuel.
It is essential. But think about the trade-off. If you're accumulating damage faster than usual, from sun, stress, whatever, your PAPs are working overtime. They drain the NAD+ tank. And that leaves less fuel for the mitochondria.
So the energy grid browns out because all the power is being diverted to emergency repairs.
Exactly. And there's a third major consumer, SARM1. This one is specific to your nerves. When a nerve axon gets injured, SARM1 activates and just rapidly depletes NAD plus HARGO, which actually causes the nerve fiber to die off. It's almost like a self-destruct mechanism.
Wow. So between inflammation eating it and DNA repair burning it, it's no wonder the levels drop. It's complete supply and demand crisis.
It is. And this, of course, brings us to the part everyone wants to know. How do we fix it?
The fix. Let's talk supplements. I go to the store, I see NR and NMN. They're expensive. Everybody claims theirs is the best. What is the actual difference between them?
The debate between NR and NMN is intense. It's almost like Coke versus Pepsi in the biology world. The main argument usually revolves around how they get into the cell. The prevailing thought was that NR enters easily, while NMN is a bit bulkier and might need to be converted to NR first.
So if I take NMN, my body just turns it into NR anyway?
Potentially. We have found some specific transporters for NMN, so it can get in directly in some tissues. But the source material highlights a crucial reality check that most supplement companies will not tell you. NMN degrades very quickly in human plasma.
Meaning what?
Meaning if you swallow a capsule, by the time it actually hits your bloodstream, a lot of it might already be broken down into plain old nicotinamide before it even reaches your cells.
So you might be paying for premium jet fuel, but your body turns it into regular unleaded before it goes in the tank.
That's a fair analogy. It doesn't mean it doesn't work. It still raises NAD+ levels, but maybe not as efficiently as we hoped. And that's why scientists are now looking at the next generation. Reduced forms like NRH and NMNH.
Reduced forms. What does that mean?
It just means they're chemically reduced. They already have those electrons we talked about. The early data suggests they might be much more stable in the blood and significantly more potent. They seem to bypass some of the usual bottlenecks.
Okay, interesting. What about food? The paper mentioned something called trigonelline.
Yes. Trigonelline is a fascinating compound. It's found in coffee and fenugreek seeds.
Wait, coffee? So my morning espresso is a mitochondrial booster.
To a degree, trigonelline works through that Price-Hamlin pathway, and the fascinating thing is that low levels of trigonelline correlate pretty strongly with sarcopenia. That's the fancy word for the muscle loss we all dread as we age.
So higher trigonelline, better muscles.
That's the correlation. It suggests that keeping that pathway active might help preserve muscle. And of course, we can't forget the OG precursor, niacin. It works, it's cheap, but it has that side effect.
The flush. Oh, I turned tomato red once after taking it. It was terrifying.
It's harmless, but yeah, it's uncomfortable, which limits its use. Medically, though, it's very effective.
Okay, so that's the pour more water in the bucket strategy. But if the bucket is leaky, if CD38 is stealing everything, shouldn't we try to plug the leak?
That is the second strategy, and honestly, it's probably the smarter one. It's called enzyme modulation. Instead of just adding more NAD plus LO, we try to stop CD38 from eating it all.
And how do we do that?
There are inhibitors. One of them is a natural compound called apigenin. You find it in parsley and celery.
Parsley. The little green garnish I usually push to the side of the plate.
The very same. Apigenin inhibits CD38, which helps preserve your NAD plus levels.
So I should just eat a truckload of parsley.
You have to eat a lot of parsley. But concentrated supplements exist, and there are also synthetic inhibitors being developed, like a molecule called 78C.
What about blocking the DNA repair, guys? Can we tell the PRPs to just, chill out a bit?
We can. There are drugs like olaparib that are used in cancer treatment to block PRPs. The theory is that very low doses might save NAD plus and slow aging, but that is a high wire act.
Because you need PRPs to fix your DNA.
Exactly. You block them too much, you save energy, but you let mutations pile up. That is a very risky trade.
Okay, we have precursors, we have inhibitors. Now I need the reality check.
Yeah.
Does any of this actually work in humans? Or is this another, it works great if you're a mouse situation?
The lost in translation problem. Look, in mice, the results are staggering. You give them precursors, they live longer, their mitochondria look younger, they run further. It's miracle stuff.
And in humans, I knew you were going to say that.
Let's just look at the trials. Safety-wise, NR and NMN are generally safe. But for efficacy, it depends entirely on who you are. For general aging healthy older adults, the results for muscle strength are mixed. Some trials show that even though blood NAD+ went up, their muscles didn't actually get any stronger.
That's disappointing.
Yeah.
So the fuel tank was full, but the car didn't go any faster.
Exactly. However, context is everything. In patients with mitochondrial myopathy, a specific muscle disease where the mitochondria are actually broken, giving them niacin made a huge difference. Their muscle strength and performance improved significantly.
So if you're already sick or you have a real deficit, it helps. If you're just a healthy person trying to become superhuman, maybe less so.
That seems to be the trend. It's about homeostasis. If your levels are already good enough, adding more might not do much, and this leads to the athlete's paradox.
I saw that in the notes.
Yeah.
Exercise boosts NAD plus Eb, right?
Yes. Exercise naturally revs up the enzyme NAMPT, which runs that main recycling pathway. It is the best natural booster we have, period. But studies show that if you are already an athlete, if you're fit-taking, these supplements might not improve your performance at all.
Because your machinery is already optimized.
You've already maximized your efficiency. You can't overfill the tank. But if you're sedentary, the boost from a supplement might be more noticeable simply because your baseline is lower.
So sadly, there is no magic pill that replaces a jog around the block.
Unfortunately not. The biology is pretty clear. You have to use the machinery to keep it running well.
So let's bring this all together. We've unpacked a lot here. We know NAD+ is both the fuel and the signal. We know it drops because we make less and we burn more, thanks to inflammation and DNA damage.
And we know that mitochondrial health absolutely depends on it. If you want to keep the city lights on, you have to manage the grid.
The big takeaway for me seems to be that there is no one-size-fits-all precursor.
That's right. If you have specific metabolic issues, maybe targeting one pathway is better. If it's just general aging, maybe a combination of a precursor plus a CD38 inhibitor and definitely exercise is the most robust strategy. We're moving away from just take this one pill.
Before we sign off, I have to ask about one final thing in the paper. It felt like a sci-fi twist at the very end. This thing called NAD plus capping.
Oh, this is the frontier. This is what has biologists really excited right now. We used to think NAD+ was just floating around, fueling enzymes. But it turns out NAD+ is being used to literally cap RNA sequences.
Meaning what exactly? It's attaching itself to our genetic code.
Basically, yes. It attaches to the very beginning of genetic messages, the RNA instructions. And this changes how stable those messages are and whether they get translated into proteins or just destroyed.
So it's not just the gas in the car. It's actually editing the car's GPS software.
That is a perfect analogy. It implies that NAD+ is directly regulating gene expression in a way we never understood before. It's modifying the software of life, not just fueling the hardware. We are only just scratching the surface of what that means.
That is absolutely wild. It just makes you realize how much we still have to learn. Well, on that mind-bending note, we are going to wrap up this deep dive. Whether you're going to eat more parsley, drink more coffee, or just go for a run, keep those mitochondria happy.
And keep asking questions.
Thanks for listening. We'll catch you in the next deep dive.